The question is, as we see job openings and stuff like that in college football, you see them in the NFL too. It's always kind of like, how exciting are the top coordinators, and who can you go find that can be, a Dillingham or somebody that, or even a Dan Lanning for that matter. And look no further than your Oregon Ducks. Reminder: you can catch all Ducks action right here on the Fan Sports
Sell,
Network.
baby, sell.
Is where Will Stein and Tosh Lupoi sit. I think it's no secret that Will Stein is going to be a hot commodity, whether he decides to leave this year or waits another year. I mean, he's got a pretty good gig in Oregon. I think you kind of you have the, I don't know, leverage and availability to kind of wait out until you get a really good job. But I'm more curious a little bit on the future of Tosh Lupoi. As I said this on Monday, you were at Media Day, Danny. I think it was Monday. Maybe we talked about it in show prep, about how I felt that defense had kind of Dan Lanning written all over it, and it very much reeked of him. And maybe I was underselling Tosh Lupoi a little too much, but what I saw from him on the sidelines and how I saw Lanning interact with him in that Penn State game gave me a lot of like, hey, dude, you're an idiot. Like, take a peek. Like, Tosh Lupoi is really bringing. And Lupoi, unlike Will Stein, has a very kind of wild, charismatic football persona, very Dan Lanning-esque, to where Will Stein is kind of more, kind of more of a quiet, methodical guy trying to, figure out these crazy defenses they might be going up and creating, unique offensive plays. So I'm just curious what their future looks like and when that hammer drops.
Yeah. So,
because these guys are going to get opportunities at some point.
Well, here's the thing. Tosh has been, when you talk about the criticisms of Oregon, Lanning, staff, all those things, Tosh has gotten most of it over the last couple of years because a lot of the failures in those big games have been on the defense. And I think that's
giving up almost 300 yards to Penn State in a Big Ten title game. I mean, you still won the game, but that's a lot of yards.
And it was what, like 200 on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
That's and then you talk about the UW games, and you talk about Ohio State in the playoff, and like the big moments where they've fallen short, with the exception of the Georgia game when they first all got there. Like,
we don't count.
We don't count that. That Georgia team was nuts. And look, I'm avid Duck hater. I don't even count that one. You just got smashed by a team full of like 30 NFL players. It happens. But you've got to look at it from the point of view of that Lanning has gotten better. He's improved.
Extremely improved. Lanning in that game that we are not talking about, quote unquote, where Dan is now.
He was a deer in headlights in that game.
To where he is now is, I don't know if any coach has made a jump that fast.
No, I don't think there is. And I think Lapoi has improved drastically. Now they've obviously cycled through the offensive coordinators between Dilly and now totally blanking on his name now, Will Stein. I thought it was interesting. Jordan Rodriguez, she's one of the lead NFL writers for The Athletic. She's covered the Rams, Panthers, a couple other teams. She had a tweet this weekend. Dan Lanning is getting NFL pop this January. Like it or hate it, he is, especially if he's bringing his coordinators.
Oh, like just bring the whole fam bam.
And
I didn't think about that.
And I was like, that's an interesting thought. Like, would Will Stein
skip going to be a head coach in college and just go straight to the NFL,
OC?
A bunch of young kids together? I don't think, for the sake of the argument, I will continue to have this conversation. I don't think Dan's going to the NFL anytime soon. But that thought is very, very fascinating. And how has that ever happened? Has anybody jumped from college to the NFL and taken their whole crew with them?
Whole crew, I don't think so. Certainly some guys, but I would imagine, if you're a guy like Stein and maybe you want to be a head coach, you look at that and go, maybe I stay at Oregon. Maybe I become the head coach at Oregon. Like,
True.
You know what I mean? Like, why not?
True. If Lanning left tomorrow, I think Will Stein would be high on that list.
If you're hiring a firm, I bet you Stein would probably be pretty high on this. Mm-hmm. What's really funny is Jordan ended up turning off the replies to this because they kind of got a lot of Duck fans got a little out of control, like, how dare you kind of a deal, and they got very protective. A lot of people, the pushback was like, why would Dan want to leave? College is perfect. And I'm like, what do you mean? We've seen coaches in college be like, nah. If you just want to be a football guy, that's what the NFL is for.
Totally. And I think in Dan's specific case, I think he has been very vocal about, the age of his kids and family and the situation from the institution, the backing, the financial power that Oregon has being at this point, maybe not next year, the years after, but right now, the marquee program on the West Coast. There's a lot of reasons to not leave Oregon.
Sure.
And I think there are probably more reasons for him to stay than to actually leave. But if he's
football
not,
is your motivation,
if football's your motivation, that's
NFL
different.
is the path.
That's different. I mean, we talk about that with Lincoln Riley. We talk about that. Kiffin made his time in the NFL, and could Dabo make the jump? We all kill Saban for his short time in Miami, which I don't kill him for because I think that's a lot of organizational issues there. He wanted Breeze. They didn't let him.
in college basketball.
Pitino in college basketball, and the Celtics was rough. Calipari is not built for the NBA.
So it's interesting.
K is not built for the NBA.
Like when we talk about Stein and Lapoi, do you see Lapoi as a head coach? I don't. I look at him like a Monty Kiffin, like a guy that's just, I'm going to be a defensive coordinator, lifer kind of guy.
Penn State was the first time I looked at Tosh Lupoi and said, "You can be a head coach," because he had juice on the sideline.
Yeah,
and I think in college,
the Ron Rivera of it all.
Yeah, I think in college football, you're seeing right now like.
Juice matters.
Juice matters a lot, especially when you're younger. I think juice works against guys like Brian Kelly and Dabo Swinney.
Because it's a different kind of juice and they're faking it.
Yeah, it's like an old man juice that doesn't really work.
It's Brian Kelly with a Cajun accent.
Yeah, but take Mike Norvell for instance. He's probably in the middle of Dan Lanning and Dabo age-wise. I don't know exactly how old he is. I know
he's got juice.
I know he's a silver fox. That's a good-looking man. And he's got juice, and that juice feels authentic. And that's why I kind of, I don't know if I need to call it an apology. I don't know if I was ever super, super critical of Tosh Lupoi, but that's kind of where I am with him now. And I think not only was it how that defense played against a top 5 team in the nation on the road in a crazy environment, but also just a guy that was on the sidelines kind of beating his chest and getting his guys going, and Lanning looking to him and say, dial something up. I need you right here. And him being like, let's go. Let's do that. I was very impressed with him over the weekend, and I'm curious what his future holds.
No, I am too. And that game, we haven't had a chance to talk about that game. You want to talk about that game?
Sure.
I haven't had a chance to talk about it.
Sure, hit me.
So going into the game, I picked the Ducks. To be honest, I was disappointed in Will Stein and Dante Moore in the first half.
Yeah, I said that on Monday with Joe. I thought play calling, I wasn't disappointed in Dante at all. I thought play calling from Will Stein was a little conservative. I loved that everything was 4-down territory. I mean, I loved that.
Yeah. That's
mostly
that's
because
the aggression.
Yeah, and Lanning is basically saying, I trust my defense. That and field advantage helps
also,
too.
I'm not worried about that offense.
I'm not kicking from the 45 or the 50.
Yeah, but not just that. You're not worried about the Penn State offense, which kind of proved to be true for most of the game. But
I felt Stein was conservative,
and I thought Dante was rattled, and that was the question I had going into that game: was how is he going to handle the atmosphere of the whiteout? That's his first real challenge,
and I couldn't disagree with you more.
Oh, just in the first half.
I know you said first half, and I disagreed.
I thought he had opportunities that he didn't take. Jake Browning-esque. Made a completion, but there were bigger plays to be had. And maybe that's part of the game plan is, hey, let's play this thing tight for the first half.
I think that might have been the message to Dante. I don't know if that translates to rattled.
I thought a couple of times he did look, and again, not bad, but just like I think it proved out to be very true. The gap between Dante and Aller is a canyon.
It's giant.
It's a canyon.
It's giant. And I think the reason some of us kind of feel dumb come Monday, after that game is, Aller, the preseason hype, and Dante. Look, we talk about it a lot here because we're local and we have that local angle, and we see it a lot more, and we have a little more insight into how Lanning runs his program and how the quarterback competition was during the offseason and all that kind of stuff. But I think the national media was very, very shocked at how calm he looked, and I just was not.
When he got up there you go. Go ahead and celebrate. Gardo's home run. Ding, 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 on the board.
Bumps his average up from 162 to 168. Let's go, bro.
But Dante Moore in the second half was a different beast.
Dante Moore in the second half looked like the best quarterback in the nation to me.
He was very, very, very good. I
he started to run a little bit when he needed to. Again, we're way on this. Like, don't just be a runner.
No.
Run when it's time.
And that was part of it. he got down early a couple of times when I was like, I know you're trying to preserve yourself and not get hit, but you probably needed to stay up and fight for that a little bit. And while I have all the criticisms of the world of Aller, that dude in the fourth quarter put it on his back.
Well,
and that was impressive as hell until he crapped his pants.
Yeah, I think what the analogy I've been trying to like figure out the best way to say it. It's a caged animal versus scared animal.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're in that spot, do you react scared or do you react ravenous?
Yeah.
And there were moments where Aller was like, it's desperation. Does your desperation lead you to crumble or does your desperation lead you to get the F up and start doing something? And Aller had that for a moment until he did what we all expected
honestly,
him to do.
He had it for 2 drives. And then going into overtime. I mean, he had the juice, man.
It's 17-3, and the camera goes right to Dan Lanning. He looks to his sideline. He goes, it's over.
And I was like...
And I thought it was too. And I argue that unnecessary roughness call lets Penn State back in that game.
Yep.
Otherwise, final score might be 24-3.
And, Aller, he gets the credit, but he's also, the GOAT in all of this, and that he kind of hangs it and does what he's always done. But you also have to credit both Stein and Lapoi. The throw from Dante with Denai Dennis Sutton running down his throat unblocked to Gary Bryant. I mean, that's a hell of a play.
That was it.
You hadn't heard
that is a potential Heisman moment. I know you hate to hear that, but in a year outside of Mendoza's one game,
put up some numbers in some games
where stat lines aren't really existing. I know Maeva's had some good stats and Mendoza has good stats, but that's a moment. And the committee loves moments.
We'll get down. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I hadn't heard Thieneman's name really all game. And then just what a play.
Thanks, Migo.
What a play.
What a disappointing way to end that game. So much juice, as we keep using the phrase today, from whether it's fans or fans chanting things towards their own team and just the nature of double overtime. But it's like, wait, it wasn't a missed field goal? It wasn't a 4th down and go? It's over?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over.
And I mean, massive credit to Oregon's offensive line. Denai Dennis Sutton ends with 7 tackles, 3 solo, but no pressures, no sacks, no quarterback hits.
That might be the best complete trench in all of football.
It's up
offense
there, man.
and defense.
Like they got it done, and Bryce Betcher continues to be an absolute tackling machine.
Right, dude, just everywhere. He's just in every play.
For a dude to just be like just a local kid that turns into like I don't go full Luke Kuechly. Who was I can never remember his name? The Boston College linebacker that got cancer. Do you remember who I'm talking about? He was
yes, I do.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do.
He reminds me of him, where he's an absolute psychopath that just tackles everything and everyone, and it's fun as hell to watch him play. Man, he's not Ray Lewis. He's
Mark
not
Herzlich.
Herzlich. He reminds me of Herzlich, man, where it's kind of Cam Scatterbo on defense, where he's just
a guy.
He's just a walking case of CTE. Like he's just wanting to hand it out. Everybody can catch these hands.
Yeah.
And he just throws his, like, I love Lanning's quote. I think it was last week in the coach's show where he mentioned something like, we finally got Bryce to stop tackling the wrong guys, because he was hitting everybody in practice, even guys he's not supposed to hit. And you can see it translate. And like this Oregon team is very good. Like I said, if I had my poll, I'd have Oregon number 2 in the country. Miami would be number 1, but Oregon would be right there. And that was a hell of a performance. I think that ultimately they should have won this game in regulation. Like if I'm squinting and finding a thing like a nit to pick, you should have handled this.
It's hard to ask a defense to play that well for that long. It just is.
It is
against a team that good.
But also Penn State's offense and Drew Aller, you had him under control and then you didn't.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's the only nit that I'm picking there. It was a hell of a game from Oregon.
Dante looked like an NFL QB leading an NFL team. Drew looked like a college QB leading a college team from the text line. I find that a fascinating thought
that's
to think about.
Especially in the second half.